So there's a VR game called Space Pirate Trainer. It's pretty fun, but I feel like it's missing the one thing that a space pirate needs: a space parrot. So I made one myself. The helmet lets you know that it's in space. The problem with a space parrot is that you can't really see it on your shoulder very well in first person. Now some might say, hey, why not use a space mirror? But that's boring. We're going to make third person work in VR. Now, I've already done a few videos that you could technically call third person, where you move around your point of view in the form of tearing off your own head or tearing out your eyes. But for this video, we'll be looking at more traditional video game takes on third person. Hey, do you guys remember an old game called Fortnite? I figured an over-the-shoulder view would give a good view of the on-the-shoulder bird. And I figured if I had this over-the-shoulder view, I might as well make a Fortnite building system. But turning your head swings you around way too much. It's pretty terrible. Looking side to side isn't as bad as looking up and down, but your mileage may vary. It's also pretty hard to grab stuff. A top-down view is less nauseating, but it's even more boring than mirrors. In one of my earlier videos, I was experimenting with duplicating myself and using a see-through ceiling. That turned out pretty uninteresting, and making the person even smaller so that it was more like an overhead view made it even more boring. And it's also pretty hard to grab stuff still. But now we come to my new solution. Back before Resident Evil had big mommy vampires, they had a fixed camera perspective system. If your character was in one place, your camera was in this place, and it didn't move or rotate at all. And I know what you're thinking, isn't holding the player's perspective in place a bad idea? And you're right, so I won't. We're piping the security camera feeds right into your helmet. Now you can still see things like your hands and your peripheral vision around the video feed, and grabbing stuff isn't super awkward anymore if you look around your peripheral or in the lower parts of your helmet. Having a camera in front of your face helps keep you from feeling nauseous when moving around with the joystick controls too. And since we aren't barbarians in the PS1 era, we can let players toggle cameras if we're feeling generous. There are also interesting tricks you can play with the camera angles. And there are other tricks you can play with being visible on camera, but not in your periphery, or vice versa. Heck, you could even carry around a camera like in my previous spooky camera video, but in real time, Blair Witch style. I'll put a link to a download page if you want to try this out yourself. I mentioned a lot of different videos in this video, and you can see a link to them right now. You could watch those now that this one's done. Also, maybe subscribe while you're here. I have an idea for a horror game that uses some of the concepts that I explored in this video.